Hey, it's Coach Anderson from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online. We've been talking about ACT reading section, and one of the things that we try to do over the last, 6 or 7 lessons or so is try to give you some tips and some strategies, of course, that you can utilize to do as well as you possibly can when it comes to the ACT test. The ACT reading section is specifically what we're going to talk to you about, and it's one of those sections on the test that affords you an opportunity to do, to do quite well, which would, of course, directly impact your composite score. If you pay attention to some of the tips and strategies, of course, that we go over and understand what it is, of course, that ACT is trying to get you to understand when it comes to these passages that we've been discussing, you can do a whole lot about, about improving your score and even, putting yourself in a position where you have access to some scholarship money. And mom and dad, of course, will love that idea. Today, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the humanities passages when it comes to the ACT reading section. It's very similar to, our approach is going to be very similar to what we would do, of course, when it comes to social sciences. And I've been ranking these in terms of, my level of difficulty, or in terms of I've had, of course, when I look at these. Prose is where I think I excel the most, but humanities and social sciences are a real close second. Today, what we're going to do is look at how to approach the humanities passages in ACT reading, and we'll start by looking at what the humanities passages, of course, entail. Well, when we look at the description, the texts are related to literature, art, philosophy, or culture, and the common themes, which are usually passages generally focus on interpretation and critique of artistic works. What we're going to do, of course, is provide you with a a passage of on a humanities passage. And what we would like you to do, of course, is take some time and go through and read a particular passage, and then we'll come back in a few moments, talk about our approach and talk about our annotations. So with that, what we'll do is cut away and allow you the opportunity, of course, to go through and read this particular passage, and we'll see you in a few moments. Well, you should have had enough time that you were able to go through, of course, and read the passages, this humanities passage. And what we're going to do is make an attempt at asking, or make a significant attempt in terms of trying to create some things that we should be asking ourselves when it comes to how we approach these humanities passages. Like social science passages, humanities passages require a different annotation approach than prose passages. Passages for the social sciences tend to be structured in a traditional thesis-driven way, essay format, just like the social sciences, with a clear thesis at the end of the introduction and a topic sentences that begin each body paragraph. By reviewing the content of those paragraphs and how that content supports the thesis, they typically have a concluding statement to drive home their argument. Start by underlining or highlighting the thesis and the topic sentence. It should be really familiar to you. When you look at what we just said, if you paid attention to the social sciences in terms of how we approach it, the way we approach the humanities passage is going to be very, very similar. What questions do you need to be would need to be answered, or what you need to ask, of course, and answer when you're reading the passage? What is our thesis? What are the supporting details? What inference can be made? What conclusion was drawn? So this is what we did, of course, when we were annotating this particular passage. And once again, we're approaching this as if it was an online test. And what we basically did is I looked up that setup question again. This is kind of gets me prepared to what I'm about to read. So in looking at it, I highlighted my setup question, of course, in purple here. And then, of course, my thesis statement I highlighted, of course, in blue. And then, once again, at the beginning of each one of those body paragraphs in the body of the essay, I underlined the first statement of those. And then at the end, in red, I explored what I underlined and highlighted what the concluding statement would be in terms of what the author does to drive his particular point home. And this is by exploring artistic expressions, we gain insights into the values that define cultures and the shared experiences that unite humanity. That is how he drives his point home. What we're going to do is, of course, look at the 5 different question types, of course, when it comes to ACT reading. And this primary focus, of course, is going to be on the humanities. What is the primary focus of the passage? A, the evolution of art styles throughout history. B, the relationship between art and cultural identity. C, the commercialization of art in modern society. D, the role of technology in creating art. Well, the best answer in this particular case is going to be the relationship between art and cultural identity. What is the rationale? Well, the passage emphasizes how art reflects and shapes cultural identity, which was pretty straightforward, highlighting its role in expressing the community's values, beliefs, and history. It explores how art is tied to traditions, rituals, and social movements, reinforcing the connection between art and cultural identity of different communities. The other options, A, C, and D, are not central themes in the passage. Question number 2, supporting details. Once again, uh, when we're looking at those supporting arguments, when we underline the first statement of each one of those paragraphs in the body of the essay, it should give us an idea about what some of those supporting details, of course, could be. Which example from the passage illustrates the connection between art and cultural heritage? A, the fusion of diverse artistic traditions. B, indigenous dot paintings that tell ancestral stories. C, the impact of social media on art. D, the popularity of modern art movements. The best answer is B, indigenous dot paintings that tell ancestral stories. The rationale, the passage specifically mentions indigenous art such as Australian Aboriginal dot paintings as an example of how art conveys cultural heritage and ancestry. Question 3, inference. What can be inferred about the author's view on the role of art in social movements? A, the author believes art distracts from social issues. The author sees art as a way to challenge societal norms. The author thinks art is irrelevant to activism. The author prefers traditional art forms. Well, the best answer, once again, is B, and the rationale is the passage discusses how artists have used their work to provoke thought and challenge societal norms, particularly during times of social upheaval. The mural movement, for example, is cited as a way of marginalized communities voicing their struggle for justice and equality. This shows that the author's views art as a powerful tool for social commentary and activism. 4, vocabulary context. Once again, as we said before, sometimes you can answer vocabulary questions without actually having to read the paragraph itself. Like cross-pollination here. And once again, if you are familiar with that term, you could possibly answer the question based on what you have in the answer choice. What does the term cross-pollination refer to in the passage? A, the exchange of ideas between different cultures, the process of creating hybrid art forms. C, the influence of nature on artistic expression. D, the decline of traditional art practice. And the best answer is A, the exchange of ideas between different cultures. In the passage, in terms of the rationale, in the passage, the cross-pollination refers to the blending of diverse artistic traditions, which fosters cultural dialogue and enriches artistic expression. This exchange of ideas between cultures helps create new artistic forms and fosters empathy. Option B, creating a hybrid art form, is a related concept, but the phrase cross-pollination more broadly refers to the exchange of ideas, making A the best choice. Now you have to be careful when you're looking at some of those questions, and the reason being because some of those answers, of course, if you think about it and rationalize it, to a certain degree, you can make yourself believe that the other one, of course, could have been the answer. Question 5, author's purpose. Once again, what is the author's primary purpose of the passage? To critique the commercialization of contemporary art. Well, I don't know if he was critiquing contemporary art. To examine the role of art in expressing and shaping cultural identity, to provide a historical overview of different art movements, to discuss the technical aspects of creating art. I don't think he talked anything about technical aspects of art. So in my mind, the only 2 answers could be B or C, and the best answer is B. The primary focus, the rationale is the primary focus of the passage is on how art serves as a reflection of cultural identity, expressing the values, beliefs, and histories of communities. It discusses how art both shapes and is shaped by cultural identity, from traditional forms like indigenous art to modern artistic expression. The other options, A, C, and D, are not the central themes of the passage. Well, what we've done, of course, is gone through, of course, and looked at the humanities passage and how to approach them. And one of the things that you should have noticed, of course, is that they are very similar in terms of, it is very similar in the way that we approach the social science passages. And for me, that makes both of these, a little bit easier, of course, to kind of, wrap my head around. And in addition to that, it doesn't take as much in terms of annotation and note-taking, of course, when it comes to the humanities and the social sciences, passages in my mind as the literary prose passages that we looked at earlier. So, and my idea would be, or advice would be, is find the type of passage that you're most concerned with, or that you're most comfortable with, and I would attack those types of passages first. And remember, be consistent in your approach. Be consistent with your strategy. And with that, you should be successful when it comes to ACT reading. Remember what we said. The better you do, the less mom and dad have to pay. So do as good a job as you possibly can in preparation for ACT reading, because ACT reading is one of those sections on the test that can bolster your score. And with that, we'll see you next time. This is Coach Anderson from Mississippi Public Broadcasting.